The US may be soon flooded by 1 million refugees. That is the estimated amount to be created by the Israeli counteroffensive in Gaza. The question that everyone is trying to answer is who will take them. Egypt and Jordan, two countries neighboring Israel, have both unequivocally said that they will not carry this burden. But the thing is, the only way out of Gaza by land is through a small border with Egypt in the south. The UN had been working with Egypt to set up a humanitarian route out of Gaza for civilians, but that ended up becoming heavily bombarded by missiles. The Egyptian president is now expressing doubt on letting in more people, saying that if these refugees settle in Egypt, they may never return to Gaza. So the question remains, who will take them? Because someone will have to, or else hundreds of thousands of people will die. Will it be the usual suspects, the EU or the US? Will the US even have the capacity to take in another 1 million refugees after the migrant crisis, and not to mention the constant illegal border crossings?
News flash, guys. Desantis, who's an American politician, rejects the idea of accepting people from Gaza into America as refugees. Now, if you're new here, then hit on the subscribe button. Welcome back to my channel, guys. And in today's video, a clip of an American politician goes viral after saying that they are not going to allow people from Gaza as refugees because not all of them are Hamas, but they are all anti-Semitic. Let's check out this together.
Also, I will say, and I don't know what Biden's going to do, but we cannot accept people from Gaza into this country as refugees. I am not going to do that. If you look at how they behave, not all of them are Hamas, but they are all anti-Semitic. None of them believe in Israel's right to exist. None of the Arab states are willing to take, any of them. The Arab states should be taking them if you have refugees. You don't fly people and import them into the United States of America. So we're going to be very strong on that. And I think about our country, you see these demonstrations supporting Hamas in the United States of America. How did we get to the point where people are out there doing that? You get reports of babies being murdered, all this other stuff, and your first instinct is to go out and praise the terrorists who perpetrated that. You have students at Harvard signing letters praising Hamas for doing it. We've got some serious problems in this country. We've allowed a lot of these problems to fester, but my view is very simple. If you don't like this country, if you hate America, you should not come to this country. We've got to start being smart about this.
Now, in his comment, we've heard him calling on neighboring Arab nations to open their borders and absorb Palestinian refugees. Although the United States has not to date put forward any specific plan for accepting Gazan refugees, a number of conservative lawmakers, many of them 2024 presidential candidates, have jump-started any forthcoming debate on the issue by declaring their opposition to allowing any displaced Palestinian onto the American soil. Let's take a look at how different people reacted to this in these stitches.
Now, we all know Ron Desantis is a vile person. The fact that he's even still campaigning has to be one of the greatest examples of wasteful spending since the Iraq War. Pretty strong statement there, Ronnie. All. To say something like that with absolutely no proof or evidence, you had a really strong stance. But how did you respond to the actual anti-Semitic groups in your state? Ones that have shown you their anti-Semitism. Groups that have waved Nazi flags in your state. You responded with, they try to play games to try to politicize. Why would they do that? But you did call them jackasses, and that law enforcement would hold them accountable. So you have the ability to make a wild claim that 2.2 million Palestinian people living in Gaza are all anti-Semitic. But the actual anti-Semites that are running rampant in your state are jackasses. I've been watching wall-to-wall coverage about what's happening in Gaza right now. And these images will haunt me. And instead of showing one crumb of human decency that you may or may not possess, you instead decide to say that 2.2 million people, all of them, which are 40% children, are anti-Semitic. Not even going to point the finger only to right-wingers, right? Because I've had people in my comments who say they usually agree with my content calling me anti-Semitic and that I support terrorism. And for the people that usually agree with me and have called me these things, I want to see if you notice a pattern here. I want to tell you some of the comments I get on the content that you usually agree with. When I speak up for the LGBTQIA community, I have right-wingers coming in my comments telling me that I must support child grooming and PEDOs. When I speak out against police brutality and systemic racism in this country against Black people and people of color, and that I support their right to protest, I have right-wingers in my comments calling me an end-lover, that I must obviously support violence and crime, that I'm a white savior, and I'm actually the racist one. When I speak out against anti-Semitism and talk about the rise of anti-Semitism in this country, I had one commenter tell me once that when it's time to round them all up, they hope I get confused for one and taken along with them. When I speak up for immigrants and refugees and asylum seekers coming to the United States, I'm told by right-wingers that I'm anti-American and I don't care about actual Americans, and that if I cared so much, why don't I just let them live in my house? Do you see the pattern? And like I said, there's two. One is how many times I get gaslit for speaking up for oppressed and marginalized groups. And two, my unwavering support for all oppressed and marginalized groups. So instead of asking me why I support the Palestinian cause for freedom and liberation, and how I am gutted about what's happening in Gaza right now, you should ask yourself why you normally and usually agree and love my content as a liberal, as a Democrat, as a progressive, whatever you consider yourself to be. But now you're accusing me of horrific and vile things like 99.9% of those right-wingers, and saying things like Ron DeSantis.
You don't fly people and import them into the United States.
The irony of that statement is not lost on me. We do not import people into the United States. Sir, that is literally the foundation of America. A country that was literally built on, developed, and expanded based on the importation, monetization, and exploitation of Africans. People they imported by the millions and then enslaved them for generations. But of course, Ron DeSantis doesn't want you to know that. Also, the idea that America can be a co-conspirator or a creator of facilitating violence against innocent people, and then want to be hands-off when we're dealing with the fallout of that now humanitarian crisis. The vast majority of refugees are a direct byproduct of the West influencing and exploiting other communities either for their people or for their natural resources. These things are always intertwined with one another.
The dehumanization of the Palestinian people is ongoing and it is real. Ron DeSantis, Florida governor, transphobia enthusiast, expired ham sandwich, Ron DeSantis, says that the U.S. should not even accept refugees from Gaza. He uses incredibly dehumanizing language because he is well aware of what is going on right now and what is about to occur. And he's playing his part, just like so many other people in Western media right now are playing their part in beating the drums of war and cheering on a genocide.
Now, the reason why people are reacting to what he said is because of his statement where he said not all of them are Hamas, but they are all anti-Semitic. Now, people feel that that was a very strong statement to say. Like, to say that with absolutely no proof or evidence, he had a really strong stance. Now, nearly 1 million people are grappling with shortages of food, clean water, and shelter in Gaza, which is bracing for land invasion by Israel in retaliation for the October 7 attacks and the taking of hostages by Hamas, an Iran-backed militant group. Now, people have taken this differently, and many have stitched his video to react on what he said. Now, not just did people stitch the video, but they also had a lot of comments. Like, there were a lot of comments from people. So let's check out some of the comments from people and just hear what they had to say about this statement. Now, the first one reads, "The fact that some people judge us for supporting oppressed people, no matter their race, religion, or ethnicity, is what baffles me. All humans are worthy of dignity, respect, and freedom. We can work on the ideology after we solve the root of the problem, which is oppression." This one says, "So you go and destroy their home and now complain that they are refugees and need a new home. They have no shame." Like, there has to be a solution to this. People should not have to endure this for a travesty. Now, this is not just about Gaza. It's about anyone that doesn't look like you. The U.S. unalived most Native Americans and has been slowly squeezing all Native American territory into smaller areas. So is Israel about to do the same. Now, this one says, "Why don't the U.S. give Israel land in the U.S. since they love them so much and leave Palestine and their land alone?" These are just some of the reactions from the people in the comments. Now, as poll numbers tighten in the race to be positioned as Trump's possible supporters of the Florida governor seized on that statement as evidence. What are your thoughts on this, guys? What he said about the people of Gaza? What do you have to say about that? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments. From me, it's a bye-bye, and see you in my next video.